A pleasant day to everyone. In response to Regional Memorandum Number 109, Series of 2021, which aims to ensure that the school's division offices will be provided the appropriate, relevant, and timely guidance and support towards continuous improvement to help them achieve their set goals, particularly in the implementation of the Pivot Learning Continuity Plan. The Division of San Pablo City submitted its technical assistance or TA needs for comprehensive TA engagement to governance levels and units covering all areas of management and operations. In senior high school, objective number 1, enhance the competence of school heads and teachers in assessing students' learning under MDLM. Policy or issuance is Deped Order Number 31, Series of 2020. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance, strategies and steps in assessing students' learning under the MDLM are not specific. Classification of concern, curriculum, mode of technical assistance, capacity building and coaching. Possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback, provide specific strategies and procedures in assessing students' learning under the MDLM. Proposed date, July 2022. Objective number 2 in senior high school, enhance the competence of all school heads and teachers in monitoring learners' progress under modular DLDM and provide them timely feedback. Policy or issuance, Deped Order Number 31, Series of 2020. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance, strategies in monitoring students' progress under MDLM were not provided, especially for learners without gadgets or load allowance. Classification of concern, curriculum, mode of technical assistance, conduct of orientation and coaching. Possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback. Provide varied doable strategies in monitoring students' progress under MDLM, specifically for students without gadgets and load allowance. Proposed date, April 2021. Objective number 3 in senior high school, provide clear guidelines on work immersion implementation, specifically in the TVL track following the IATF guidelines. Policy or issuance, DM85, Series of 2020. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance, suggested home-based work immersion activities for TechVoc track were not complete for all specializations. Some suggested activities are not safe for the students, like in electricity, welding, and others. Options provided for the other tracks were not clear. Classification of concern, curriculum and administration, mode of technical assistance, conduct of orientation and coaching. Possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback, provide varied home-based work immersion activities for all specializations of TechVoc track, which are doable and safe for the learners. Provide clear and varied options for work immersion implementation for academic and sports tracks following the IATF guidelines. Proposed date, April 2021. On assessment, provide TA in improving and adjusting instructional competencies of teachers and school heads in assessing learning outcomes in MDLM or DLDM. Policy or issuance, DO31 Series of 2020. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance, no specific steps and strategies in assessing students' learning under MDLM. The conduct of remote assessment leads to leniency in grading system and high incidence of cheating. Classification of concern, curriculum. Mode of technical assistance, coaching and training, and for the second one, coaching and mentoring. Possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback. Provide specific strategies and procedures in assessing students' learning under modular distance learning delivery modalities. Proposed date, April to July 2021. On SBM, provide TA to improve the SBM level of practice. Policy or issuance, RM number 53 series of 2021. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance. Too many points were allotted to some performance indicators wherein schools have no control. Too many evidence-based documents were suggested. Classification of concern, curriculum, administration, and finance. Mode of technical assistance, coaching and training. Proposed dates, April to July 2021, and for the second one, July 2021. On mental health, provide mental health and psychosocial services to increase the mental resiliency of the learners and school staff. Policy or issuance, DO14 series of 2020. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance. Done only at the start of the school year. Classification of concern, mental resiliency. Mode of technical assistance, coaching, mentoring, attendance to online training. Possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback. Provision of regular program or schedule on mental health. Proposed date, April 2021. On madrasa, provide TA to ensure quality implementation of madrasa education program. Policy or issuance, DO58 series of 2016 and DO41 series of 2017. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance. Lack of qualified asatids to teach Arabic language and Islamic values education or ALIVE. Classification of concern, curriculum, city accounting, finance. Mode of technical assistance, coaching and information sharing to Muslim community. Possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback, dialogue to Muslim learners, parents, and Muslim leaders, as well as requests to the SDS on the inclusion of monitoring allowance in the SEF during their meeting with the LSP. Proposed date, July to September 2021. On learning resources, provide technical assistance to schools and learning centers in the implementation of LRMS processes, development, evaluation, or QA and production of LRs. Policy or issuance, DO12 series of 2020 and DO76 series of 2011. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance. Clear guidelines must be established in the production and delivery, utilization and monitoring of learning materials of schools and district and division level. Classification of concern, learning resources, curriculum. Mode of technical assistance, online monitoring. Possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback, online technical assistance. Proposed date, Quarter 4, May 2021 to July 2021. On ALS, provide technical assistance on presentation portfolio assessment for ALS elementary and junior high school completers. Policy or issuance, Joint Memorandum DMOUCI 2021-049. possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance, ensure the validity and credibility of the assessment, classification of concern, curriculum, mode of technical assistance, online orientation and coaching, possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback, contact online revalida and on-site technical assistance on portfolio assessment. Proposed date, April to June 2021. On homeschooling, inform private schools of the documentary requirements and process of application and implementation for the homeschooling program. Policy or issuance, homeschooling program, DO number 54, series of 2012. Possible weakness of operations underlying on the policy or issuance, application and implementation process, classification of concern, private schools, curriculum, mode of technical assistance, capability building, information sharing, possible adjustments on approaches based on initial feedback, standard process and detailed application requirements. Proposed date, April 2021. To end this presentation, let me read this beautiful quotation from Jim Stovall. When we help one another, everybody wins. We hope that this collaboration between the RF-TOTS and the DF-TOTS through this Kumustahan will help us provide quality services to our stakeholders and ultimately help us develop learners who are ready for higher education, ready for entrepreneurship, ready for work, and ready for life. Thank you, and may God bless this activity.